Welcome back to the podcast, guys. Episode 2. I'm Jen Down, the Driven Coach, and my mission is simple: to empower driven individuals, especially women, my core focus, to build profound confidence, embrace your body, and truly live your best life. No gimmicks. And today, we need to talk about feeling tired. We talk about it all the time, right? And I feel like I'm calling myself out here because I'm tired. The exhaustion, the running on fumes, the feeling that you simply have nothing left to give at the end of the day. And guess what? You'll get up in the morning and do it all over again the next day. It's like the real life version of Groundhog Day, only without any of the humor. And because this episode is driven by data, all the sources for the statistics and research I quote will be listed in the show notes for you. I want to challenge a common assumption. We always assume that this exhaustion comes from doing too much, from being overwhelmed. But what if it isn't? What if your profound fatigue is actually coming from doing too little of what truly matters to you? What if the drain is coming from being underwhelmed? Today, we're diving into the critical difference between burnout and boreout, why both are silent killers of your confidence and health, and how TDC can help you get your vibrant energy back. Ready? Okay, so let's start with what we know. Burnout. This is a term most people know. And when you think of this scenario, burnout is usually one most people will go to. So burnout is a state of emotional, physical, and mental exhaustion caused by chronic overload. It's when your responsibilities and your stress levels have been running at 150% for so long that your engine has seized up. You're running on fumes, dreading the next thing, and maybe feeling cynical about the demands of life. And ladies, guess what? We are disproportionately affected. The data is clear. Recent workplace surveys show working women are experiencing burnout at a significantly higher rates than men. In some studies, 46% of women report being burned out, compared to just 37% of men. In addition to workplace stress, women often have a disproportionate amount of household duties that land on their shoulders when they get home from work. The system is set up to drain us. But what about the other kind of exhaustion? Did you know there was another kind? Until recently, I'd never heard of this term, Boreout. This is what happens when the exhaustion comes from chronic underload. This is the subtle, slow drain of monotony, a lack of challenge, or feeling like your immense talent and skill set are simply wasting away in an easy but unfulfilling role. The job may or may not pay your bills, but it's not feeding your soul or your passion. If you're stuck in a job that's convenient but mind-numbing, you're feeling Boreout, and you are not alone. Gallup's latest report shows employee engagement in the U.S. is at a 10-year low, with only 31% of workers truly engaged on the job. That means the majority of people are bored, checked out, or underwhelmed. And here's the kicker. You might feel unseen. Maybe you think your manager knows you have more to give, but research suggests otherwise. One study found that 90% of managers believe they challenge their teams adequately, while only 33% of individual contributors felt challenged. That disconnect means if you're bored, you have to be the one to change it. Now, you might be sitting there thinking, Jen, I feel both. I'm totally bored, but I'm also intensely stressed. And that is absolutely possible. And it's the most complex form of exhaustion we face. Lucky us. While you can't be suffering from chronic overload and underload at the exact same time in your primary role, you are likely experiencing a mixed source of exhaustion. This is where your job creates the boreout, that mental drain of monotony, and your busy life, your family, your side business, the sheer emotional load of life, creates the burnout or the chronic overload. The biggest takeaway here is this. The lack of fulfillment at work makes you acutely vulnerable to overwhelm everywhere else. The challenge is recognizing which fire you need to fight first. So, we know the source of your exhaustion is often mixed. Part overload, part underutilization. Now let's talk about the damage. When we look at this through the Driven Coach philosophy of holistic health, the reason this matters is absolutely clear. Both burnout and boreout are fundamentally destructive to your body and your profound confidence. I'm going to repeat that because it's important, and I want you to get this. Both burnout and boreout are fundamentally destructive to your body and your profound confidence. When you're burned out from overload, you are living in a constant state of fight or flight. This elevates your stress hormones. We know that chronic, unmanaged stress causes chronically elevated cortisol levels. This directly impacts your sleep, your digestion, your energy, and your ability to maintain healthy habits. But boreout is just as dangerous. When you're chronically understimulated, your brain starves for purpose. Academic studies on boreout show that ongoing boredom at work increases the likelihood of poor self-rated health and stress symptoms. You don't have to be stressed to feel stress. And most importantly, both states strip away your self-efficacy and confidence. When you feel constantly ineffective, like in burnout, or constantly useless, like in boreout, you start losing connection to your truest self. Psychology research confirms that this emotional drain leads to a profound sense of self-loss, feeling like you are only the roles you serve. You can't embrace your body or live your best life if you don't feel like you have a purpose or a voice. That's kind of a bummer, huh? Here's the good news. The good news is that we can reclaim that energy, but the solution must match the problem. Before we dive in, know this. Your inaction is costing you. Disengagement and burnout cost U.S. employers an average of over $4,000 per year for non-management employees. This problem is financially serious, and it's up to you to implement your own recovery plan. And by now, you probably have an idea if you're burnt out or bored out. So, if you have burnout, your solution is subtraction and boundaries. You need to pull back the reins. Let's talk about the boundary audit. I want you to think about, where are you saying yes when you mean no? Because every time you say yes to something, you have to say no to something else. Where can you create a small wall between work and life? And it can be a super simple one, like no email checking after dinner. Or if you go into the office every day, no email after you leave work. It doesn't have to be huge. Small changes matter. Let's talk about some mindful movement. Stop punishing your body with intense workouts when it's stressed. I know that sounds counterintuitive. You might feel like you need to aggressively fight the stress, but intense exercise is just another dose of adrenaline and cortisol. When your body is already in fight or flight mode from chronic stress, pushing harder only prevents your nervous system from relaxing. Instead, focus on movement that actively calms and regulates your system. Stretching, walking, or gentle yoga. Studies on occupational health have determined that individuals who regularly participated in physical activity had lower levels of job burnout and leisure boredom. Let's go to the flip side of this. If you have boreout, your solution is challenge and addition. You need to use that energy you're wasting. Job crafting. Let's talk about job crafting. So in any stable or monotonous role, your goal is to inject challenge. If official micro-projects are truly impossible, say a micro-project is streamlining a workflow or just little things you can do around the office, it's not a major undertaking. So if those official micro-projects are truly impossible, if your job is highly rigid, say you work for the government, you must turn inward. Look for cognitive crafting. Can you master a complicated software function related to the job? Can you optimize your own personal workflow or create an internal reference document? Can you mentor a newer colleague or volunteer to train staff? If the job offers absolute zero flexibility for your talent, then your focus must immediately shift 100% to external investment, which is our next point and what we're going to talk about. External investment. Aggressively, again bolded, aggressively pour your unused talent into a side business, an advanced certification, or a passion project. I think for a lot of us, it will be a passion project. Whether you have 10 hours a week or 2 hours every evening, or however amount of time you can manage, use the mental energy your job saves you to fund your fulfillment. Research points to lack of career growth becoming the main reason quit jobs by 2025. So you need to build your growth path now. So whether you're facing burnout from doing too much or Boreout from doing too little, the first step is knowing the source. You are talented, you are capable, and you deserve a life where you feel vibrant, engaged, and purposeful. If you are a driven individual ready to stop managing the exhaustion and start building the profound confidence you need to thrive, if you're ready for a holistic health transformation that brings true energy back into your life, I want to hear from you. Visit my website at thedrivencoach.com for resources or to book a virtual strategy session with me. I coach clients virtually from anywhere on creating the life they want. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm Jen Down, the Driven Coach, and that choice, the choice to fight overload with boundaries or underload with purpose, is the core of your confidence. Remember to choose to live driven this week. I'll see you next time.